Do you want to learn how to steal customer credit card information from major retailers so you can buy anything you want?
Well, we can't help you with that. But among the many IT problems we solve, Barracuda's award-winning firewalls prevent hackers from taking your valuable data to the bank. Reclaim your network like 150,000 other businesses have. To learn more about protecting customer data and your reputation, visit barracuda.com/firewalls.
Coming up in the Best of the Finebaum Show podcast, the head ball coach Steve Spurrier talks about coming back from a 7-6 season and trying to win the SEC East. Brett McMurphy picks Auburn to win the national championship. How will that sit with the Alabama Cars? Plus, the Big Swagoo joins me on set for a very entertaining conversation with Derek Mason. And Marcus tells Coach that he could start on the Vandy defense next season. And new SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey shares his biggest takeaways from the SEC meetings and what his goals are for the league under his leadership. All of that and much more coming up on the Best of the Finebaum Show podcast. And it starts right now.
This is the Best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
We're back at the beach, so when you bring the head ball coach on wearing shades, I've got to go scrounge one up because I'm not about to let, although he gets paid to wear his.
I tell you, your lights are as bright as the sun out here. We need them. We need them, Paul.
Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to be back at another SEC meetings. We did a nice toast to Commissioner Slide last night.
That was very poignant.
I think that was the highlight of the meetings for me and hopefully for everybody.
No, I was very moved by what you said. I know he was, and he has been probably the story of these meetings because not much else is going on.
Yeah, he's been here 13 years as commissioner, and where he's brought the SEC is probably way beyond our wildest expectations. And he gets credit for a lot of things that have happened in college football and all sports really the last several years.
No doubt. Sometimes these meetings take on a life of their own, Coach. I'm not in the meetings like you are, but is there anything really interesting going on in those coaches' meetings?
No, we go round and round on early signing date. Of course, we talk about these satellite camps that northern schools, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, they coming in the South and having some camps. We don't think they should. They think they should. So it'll be interesting to see if the NCAA approves this. Well, it is approved because they're doing it.
Yeah.
And some of our coaches want to do it next year.
Really?
Brett Bielema, Arkansas, he feels like he needs to get out and about a little bit. So we'll see where all that leads.
I mean, do you think that, there's been a lot of conversation about that, but do you think Michigan or someone else coming down here is really going to make a big difference?
I don't know. Time will tell, I guess, but they obviously like to recruit the South, which I don't blame them. But if they're going to have camps, it ought to be open to SEC schools to have one also.
Yeah, there don't seem to be a lot of issues. In years past, there was a conversation about 9 conference games. That got shot down pretty good. You see that coming back anytime soon? I
don't see it coming back because 4 of us have the in-state rivalries with schools in the ACC. So that only gives us 3 choice games. And I think 8's enough if you do have one of those games. And I think most of the schools that don't have one of those games are playing a big outside opponent. Like Ole Miss is playing FSU, I think, down in Orlando, one of those preseason games also.
Yeah, you're in one of those this year.
We play the North Carolina Tar Heels up in your new hometown of Charlotte. So should be a good crowd. They'll bring a bunch of people, and our Gamecocks, they're fired up. Paul, we didn't quite have the year we've been having. But season ticket sales are very similar to last year when we were 11-2. So we got a good bunch of fans, and I think we'll pack up the stadium there in Charlotte.
No doubt. Talking to Coach Steve Spurrier here on the beach, and I know you're about to head out. But one other thing from yesterday, and Nick Saban said this, and I was a little confused by his intent. Maybe you can help me, where he was not happy with the college football playoff diminishing the bowl situation. He said went down to the Sugar Bowl and it didn't seem like a bowl, but everyone knew that was a college football playoff.
That was a playoff. There's no question about that. And I think he mentioned it was almost like a bowl game for his team because you go in about 5 days before it.
Right.
Whereas, a true playoff game or championship game in the past, it's been like 2 days before. So, and you don't have all the outside distractions. But at least we're giving some money to the parents for these playoff games now, like basketball is doing. So, and hopefully that cost of attendance, it's going to be a different number for every school. But we've learned that's just the way it is. The federal government sort of mandates what we can give the players at our schools. So that's just something I think we're going to have to live with.
Yeah, you've been on that. In terms of things on the horizon, what do you think really needs to be changed to make this sport better?
Not a whole bunch. We talked about speed of play,
right.
and I agree. Sometimes I'm over there, man, this review's taking a long time. Come on, make a decision. Everybody can clearly see it was a fumble and it wasn't a fumble. So I think we need to speed up that, and we don't need a lot of 4-hour ball games, or even 3.5, 3:45. We need to get them around 3 to 3:15, 20, something like that. I think the fans enjoy a 3 to 3:20 game, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, these games are going 4 hours now. I mean, I realize you're coaching them, but for somebody at home, it's almost impossible to watch.
Yeah, well, we don't throw the ball 50, 60 times the way some teams do. So I think in SEC, our times are a little bit better than maybe the national average.
The SEC is taking a hit. I mean, obviously, you win 7 straight. People not so much expect you to win, but it's part of your moniker. 2 years in a row, the ACC, the Big Ten. Do you sense anything's really changed with this league, or is it just the way the end of the season goes?
Oh, I think it's just, that day, Florida State beat Auburn.
Yeah.
Certainly Auburn had a chance to win it. And then this year, Ohio State, they played super at the end of the year. And you got to give Urban credit.
Yeah.
He's 3-0 in championship games, and I think he's 2-1 or something in SEC games.
Yeah, he lost
something
Alabama
like that.
at one time.
So if it's a championship game, his teams are pretty good.
I'm curious, as someone who's always associated with quarterbacks, I'm sure you didn't pay that much attention, but what he had last year was, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. Have you?
No, I haven't. They have 3 really good players, and obviously they were. And I sort of looked for that last guy to keep playing. What do you think?
he looked good in that final game.
Oh, gosh, what's he weigh? 250 and runs like a fullback, and he's a very good passer also.
Also, the conversation lately has been the graduate transfer rule, and I know you were. Where are you on that?
Well, I think we've got a player coming. I don't know if I can talk about him or not.
Okay.
But he actually is a safety, and he played at Kansas. I hope that's not against the rules.
Yeah.
But we think he's got to do. He's got to get in grad school and do some stuff. But he's already graduated, and but our conference, if they've had some issues before, then they frown on us taking a player like that. But other than that, we can. It's already graduated.
So you don't have a problem with it? No. Obviously not.
No, it's just 1 year, and sometimes. Maybe a player's at a school didn't work out, or maybe somewhere they don't win very much, and he'd like to try to go somewhere and be on a successful team. So, yeah, let them move around. That's the nature of our sports these days.
As part of the toast last night, you paid tribute to Commissioner Slive, and I think Mark Rick, if I remember correctly, was next up, and he was talking about how you guys, in spite of what we want to see, get along. Is that a fairly accurate statement that inside that room you guys are all equal?
I think we do get along very well. I don't see much animosity. During the season, sometimes we may not be real fond of each other, but really overall, I think all the football coaches get along well.
That's disappointing.
It probably is, but I think we all realize, hey, we can be enemies one day a year, and other than that, we need to get along and hopefully our players get along. I think there's way less fighting on the field than there was 10, 20 years ago. And so that's a very good thing.
I'm not, because it does seem like, and maybe it's social networking, and by the way, congratulations, welcome to Twitter.
I don't use it that much.
I'm not going to test you, but could you actually do a tweet for us? I mean, do you have any earthly idea how, or is that?
Well, I can do it, but I left my phone in there.
Okay,
but I don't do much.
I won't give you a test here, but something tells me I'm betting against it.
I usually let one of the assistants. Okay, yeah, that's the truth.
I want to see physical evidence.
No, I can text and do take pictures and send them and all that kind of stuff. But I'd rather let them do the Twitter stuff.
So, but even though you have a Twitter account,
I have an account. I don't use it very much, but I have one. Yeah.
When you joined Twitter, it was quite a sensation.
I didn't know it was that big a deal, but obviously we got a lot of people watching it, I guess, and hopefully we can show some positive things on it.
But that was my point before I tried to put you on the spot there, which I've never done before, was it the young players? They're on social networking, and they're all friends, whether they really know each other or not. And I think ultimately that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. And, you got to keep up with whatever's happening in the world. So I'm trying to keep up, but not as much as most of those coaches.
Finally, when we talked to you last, you were reasonably upbeat. You were moving, you were turning the page from last year.
Yeah.
A lot was made out of your comments. At this point, we're still 6 weeks before Birmingham and then the season. Do you have a sense of what you have?
Well, Paul, no question, winning 3 of our last 4 gave us all a boost around there. Gosh, to win your bowl game and go 7-6 instead of 6-7.
Yeah.
God, we're all a happy bunch. And I mentioned, and I told Butch Jones, I mentioned that they were doing cartwheels in Knoxville and also in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we're all 7-6 and won the bowl game. And sometimes in life, 7-6 and a bowl victory is okay. That's pretty decent because the other side of that is a losing season. So we think we're going to be a lot better. Got a new coach, John Hoke. I think it's really going to help us on defense. And we feel we'll be a lot stronger team this year.
Do you think that is it maturity or longevity that you can take that attitude? I mean, could you have had that attitude 15 or 20 years ago at Florida?
Well, we never had a 7-6er there. Yeah, 9 was the least we
Okay, I
ever
stand
won.
corrected.
Yeah, 9's the least we ever won. But I tell you what, we lost 3 in a row in 1999, and all the media boys said, well, they've caught up with Spurrier's offense. It doesn't work anymore.
I do remember that.
And then we got Rex Grossman and some receivers in there, Jabari Gaffney, Rashae Caldwell, Taylor Jacobs, and all those guys, and we went back, throwing it up down the field, pretty good shape.
Did that motivate you a little bit when we all said? And by the way, I wasn't one of those who said it.
Not really, but it's obviously when a coach has done it a long time and it starts going south a little bit. If a new younger guy is going to do a better job, that's part of life. But we think we got a good solid program, and I tell you, got a little sauna here right now.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go because I don't want to be responsible for having you carried off.
We're fired up.
I mean, it's okay for me to stay here in a coat and long sleeve shirt, but the most fit coach in the history of the SEC is about to pass out here.
No,
Coach,
I'm okay. Just sweating a little bit.
I'm glad to see you sweat. My life has been completed.
Yeah.
Coach, thank you. It's
always
great.
Thank you, Paul. Good to be with you.
You bet.
All right.
All-timer Steve Spurrier joining us here, sweating. Don't let him see you sweat.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Brett McMurphy here, poolside, beachside in Destin. And Brett, I want to ask you about that. There was a headline, I think it was USA Today this morning, talking about the whining SEC coaches. And I'm walking around talking to my brethren in the media, and there's a lot of chirping and carping going on. Like, what's with these guys? I mean, and you were just alluding to it. They do, in some respect, look pretty bad if you're not sitting here immersed in SEC land. If you're on the East or West Coast or in the Midwest, you're going like, why do those guys complain so much?
I think the biggest issue is the satellite camps, and even a number of them said, don't call them satellite camps, they're recruiting camps.
Can you explain that to everyone, including me, what this issue is really about and why it got to this point in time?
Basically, Greg Schiano of Rutgers, several years ago, he would actually take the Rutgers football staff and go down to Florida and hold a Rutgers football camp in the state of Florida. He held them in Tampa, Miami, Boca Raton, and it was legal. Then the NCAA changed the rules that you cannot take coaches and have camps off your campus. Well, they found a loophole where coaches can go serve as counselors to other camps. So you've got Jim Harbaugh coming to Tampa in a couple of weeks. You've got Urban Meyer going to other camps outside of the state of Ohio. Well, the SEC does not allow that. The SEC does not allow their coaches to go.
That why?
Because they don't want basically because they would cannibalize each other.
Okay.
If they were allowed to go to other states within the SEC footprint, Florida doesn't want Alabama coming into their state to work camps, so they outlawed it for all the SEC schools. The problem is only the SEC and the ACC are against it. The other three Power 5 schools allow it. The Group of 5 schools allow it, so they're going to try to get the NCAA to pass legislation that will prohibit those camps from happening or allowing these coaches to go to work other camps off campus, but it's not going to pass. So at that time, they've got to decide, are we going to join them or keep our current stance.
I hate to ask such an obvious question, but is there evidence, or how much evidence is there that these camps are successful?
I don't think they're as successful as it's made out to be, but it's more perception. Perception is reality. The perception is Jim Harbaugh's coming into Florida, and he's going to talk to hundreds of recruits that aren't going to come up to Michigan. So he comes down to them.
So it looks good.
It looks good, yeah. Okay. So the SEC coaches can't go to these other camps. So they're landlocked, if you will. The kids have to come to them, where these other coaches can go to the camps and see more players. Are they going to sign, 15, 20 kids out of each camp? No, but maybe they pick up 2 or 3 kids every year, and that makes a huge difference.
You always like to think the worst case scenario or the best case, but to me the worst case could possibly be not only does the SEC get shut out, but Ohio State wins again, and then suddenly there you go. You have a new king of college football, and
former SEC coach Urban Meyer, who's
exactly
taken over the college football world. And it's funny, after they won the national championship, you see a lot of columnists and different websites all do a re-ranking of the coaches.
Yeah.
As you know, Saban's at the top of that list every year. Now all of a sudden you see Urban Meyer at the top of that list, and Saban shuffles down a couple of spots. So it's funny the impact that winning a national title creates. And if you look at Ohio State's schedule, obviously they've got a ton of talent coming back. They got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback, but they will be favored. They will be the preseason number 1. It would be an upset if they don't get to the national semifinals, and if they don't win a national title, based on everybody they got coming back and based on how soft their schedule is.
No, you're right, and it's the SEC has done it to itself, but success does that, and when you win every year and suddenly you don't win, it's a big deal. And I think right now Urban is the worst nightmare for this league, because it looks like he came down here, he studied it, he won 2 championships, he took a year off. Everyone has their opinions, and now.
You remember when he came on board in the Big Ten, he started going after kids that were committed, and he had some Big Ten coaches saying, "Hey, we don't do things like they do in the SEC." And he's turned the conference upside down. But overall, the Big Ten's got to be happy because they got them the elusive national championship. And now can Urban be stopped?
You live in Florida. I'm curious, as we wind down, and talking to Jim McElwain yesterday, he seems really upbeat. That is until you actually look at his roster. What's the vibe in that state? I know people are willing to give him time, but that's not a job you get a lot of time.
Yeah, he's not going to have a lot of time. I do think they're going to suffer some growing pains this year. I mean, you got to have a quarterback, and I don't think they're settled at quarterback. And it's funny, you look at last year with Florida and Will Muschamp, these things obviously didn't happen, but they're one play away from beating LSU. A number of plays would have went the other way. They beat LSU, they beat South Carolina, they don't get their opener postponed because of weather, and now all of a sudden he's 9-2 going into the Florida State game, potentially in play for a college football playoff spot. And it's funny how just a couple of plays can change the perception about everything. Obviously cost Will his job. I just talked to Gus Malzahn about Will, and he said he has totally changed the personality on defense. Everybody's running around like their hair's on fire. And I think I picked Auburn to win the national title because I think Muschamp comes in. Everywhere he's been, he's at a top 10 defense. I don't think Auburn will have a top 10 defense, but I think they'll have significant improvement defensively. And now you're giving Gus Malzahn more opportunities on offense with a better quarterback in Jeremy Johnson than Nick Marshall. And their schedule is very manageable. Toughest road game at LSU. They get Alabama at home. That's why I put the curse on Auburn. So
now revelation
now
here.
They go 4-8. So watch out.
Now it's Auburn has never done particularly well from the front gate, but it's hard to really argue unless you want to.
Right.
And
I mean, they had the great year, and then everything evened out, and they dropped down last year. And now I think it kind of ebbs and flows. Even out.
I thought they had a good year. I mean, they had a deceptive 8-5 record.
Right. I agree.
I mean, they won a game or two they shouldn't have, but they lost an inexplicable game against A&M, even though they were beaten badly the whole game, but still probably should have won.
Yeah.
And they were in position to beat Alabama too.
I still think the champion comes out of the West. The good news is that the West champion coach will make more than $4 million a year. The Good news is the coach that finishes in 7th place in the West will also make more than $4 million a year. Good gig if you can get it.
It is a good gig, and you obviously have a good one. You look relaxed, wearing the glasses, having the time of your life.
These are mandatory.
Well,
sorry.
I have mine, but I'm waiting for the sponsor deal to go through before I put them back on. Brett McMurphy, nice enough to join us here, beachside in Destin. Thank you so much, Brett.
Thanks, Paul.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
We're live in Destin, Florida at the Hilton Beach Resort. Really enjoying the day, and nice day. Nice day to be at the beach. Yesterday, of course, inside. Today, outside, and loving it. We had Spurrier on earlier, wearing coats and all kinds of paraphernalia. Too hot. He was sweating. We have shed all that. At least we'll probably stop here. Let's get to the phones. 855-242-7285. A lot of guests to come. Brett McMurphy a moment ago picking Auburn to win the national championship. And we go next to Larry for a reaction from that. What's up, Larry?
Oh, Finebaum. You kidding me, right?
Auburn national champ. What about it?
Who's that jerk? I mean, Saban dropped a couple of places after losing to Urban. Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in his book, he's got like the SEC's the worst thing in the world, but he wants to put Auburn in the national championship. I'll tell you something, man. These satellite camps, it's just like that dude. They're invading the South. A bunch of damn Yankees invading the South because they can't get no players up there. And he's talking about the SEC, and here they all come down here trying to get off.
Yeah, Larry, they can't get any players up there. I mean, did you see Ohio State last year against Alabama?
Yeah, but hey, why are they coming down here? Why don't they stay up there?
Well, I mean, the better question is why does the SEC coaches, why would Nick Saban even care if he's so? I mean, he's had the number one recruiting class 5 or 6 or 7 years in a row. Why is he concerned about Jim Harbaugh?
Hey, Robert E. Lee would turn over in his grave, Jack. He needs to get up and start firing them cannons off. It's Yankees.
What does Robert E. Lee have to do with anything? He was from Virginia.
The stop, brother. I don't care. Hey, this is war. You can't tell me, Paul Finebaum, this ain't war. You can hear it in Spurrier's voice. He's so pissed off, man, he's mad. I'm mad. And you ought to be, and you got that jerk on the radio that's claiming all this stuff about Auburn and Saban's dropped 2 places because the SEC didn't win the last 2 national championships we had, Paul. We'd have won 9. I'm getting sick and tired of these jerks.
Yeah, but Larry, you've got to get used to it. When you lose, you go to the back of the line, and right now, Alabama, the SEC. I mean, I'm a fan. I mean, obviously, but the SEC is not the king at the moment.
What? We'll always be, Paul.
No.
I mean, listen, Ohio State dug their butt in there, and yeah, we lost. I'm gonna give them that. But why are they coming down here and getting our players, Paul Finebaum, and got these little mini camps supposedly, and all it is Yankees. I don't like Yankees. I can't stand them. I can't stand Ohio State, none of them, and then I can't stand all of it. And you ought to be all up in arms. You ought to slap that guy. I wish I'd have been sitting next to him and he'd pop that crap off. I'd have 7 T-box, Jack, and kick his ass.
Thank you, Larry. Always a pleasure. Always learn a lot.
Damn tired, Paul Finebaum.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. RTR. Will in Mississippi next up on this Wednesday afternoon. Hey, Will.
Oh, my Lord. These guys, Bama fans, are ridiculous. But I wanted to get your thoughts on Jim Hawthorne winning the, is it pronounced Schenkel Award?
Oh, I didn't know that. How about that? That's very cool.
Yeah, man. Only Larry Munson, and the guy from State have ever, only three.
Jack Crystal, yeah.
Yeah, broadcasters.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jim Hawthorne, who, for those who don't know, is a longtime broadcaster for LSU, is, to me, one of the best, one of the nicest people I've ever met, and I'm really glad you mentioned that. I wasn't unaware, but that is a very distinguished award.
Right. I mean, I was raised with his voice, you know. I mean, even now that I listen to his radio, I usually, 9 times out of 10, turn the TV announcers down just to hear him because, I don't know, you remember that Tennessee game where we got that extra play at the end?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was 10.
Yes, sir. I remember it well.
Well, you know.
By the way, not only do I remember it, Derek Dooley never recovered from that.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, even Jim said, he said, they should have called two, talking about, you know, Les, he said, they should have called 2 plays. I can't believe they didn't call 2 plays. He told it like it was. He was a fan, but he was professional too. But, you know, when the Tigers made a mistake, he actually pointed it out. And we're like, yeah, what he said. But, you know, he's just a classy guy and deserves all these accolades. And this is his 33rd year as the football guy. So I think it's going to be a special year, plus the fact that no one's picking us to do anything with our quarterback situation. I'm loving it. I mean, we're in the jungle just waiting to pounce, and I'm loving all this. Yeah, go Bama, go Auburn. You guys are going to win it.
Thank you,
You're
Will.
going to dominate in June.
You got it, buddy. Lance is up next. Lance, sorry about that earlier. We had to run to go to Coach Spurrier, but glad you're back on.
Don't worry about that, Paul. I'll wait 4 hours. But I got to tell you, you got an Alabama heart and a Tennessee soul, Paul. I don't understand this buzz around Butch Johnson, Ball Nation, man.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me explain it to you. I happened to be with a group last night at dinner, and Butch Jones was at the same table with us, and I watched him. I mean, I know him, but I don't know him that well. And sitting there for a couple of hours having dinner and watching him, he's a special person, Lance, whether you like him or not. I'm telling you, I got a front row seat last night to the magic and majesty of Butch Jones, and I have no doubt he is going to do it at Tennessee.
Butch Jones looks like a buzz on Home Alone. Butch Jones is weak. Well, let me tell you about something. It's easy to finish strong at Tennessee, Paul, because their last 2 games are Vandy and Kentucky. Josh Dawson didn't play nobody last year. He played one team with defense, Missouri, and he lost at home. I mean, you keep talking about this spring game. A spring game ain't nothing but a controlled practice and all this recruiting. Recruits look good on paper, but them recruits didn't help them last year, did it? When they choked against Georgia and Florida. I mean, you can't get nothing for Florida, but you got big-time buzz around a Tennessee team that went 6-6 and 7-6 based on a spring game and recruits. Are you kidding me, man? It don't mean nothing on paper. We beat them 10 in a row, and everybody's just acting like they're going to walk into Gainesville and beat us. Only Gators get out of line in a swamp, Paul. You know that. That's ridiculous, man. Butch Jones is not. He might be a special person, but he ain't a special coach.
Well, we will find out. I happen to think he is. But Lance, to be determined. Thank you for the call. Always a pleasure. Let's go next to Bobby in Birmingham. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, how you doing today, man?
Good. All well, Bobby. Good to hear from you.
Yeah. Hey, say Auburn gonna win the national championship.
That's what Brett McMurphy said.
Mona Lisa was a man. Boy Scout won. Hey, I saw you yesterday when you interviewed on Crimson Mike.
Yeah.
Why you didn't ask him who the quarterback was?
No, I don't think he knows.
Yes, he does. He knows. He'd have told you if you had to ask him.
Are you talking about did you say Saban?
I said Crimson Mike. Yeah, that's Saban.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't ask him. You're right.
I was sitting there cheering for you. I said, come on, Paul, ask him who the quarterback is. Hey, Paul, where did you get that weather crew you got?
That weather crew?
Yeah, you need what you need. You're a smart man, Finebaum. What you need to do is take all of the equipment and tell them, say, y'all just look up. Say, that's all you got to do is look up.
Well, the storm blew in. That happens at the beach, Bobby.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Live at the beach. The Big Swagoo has joined us. For those of you who weren't with us during the break, the Big Swagoo, of course, is Marcus Spears.
Good.
And the head coach at Vanderbilt, Coach Derek Mason. Coach, you were talking. It's all yours. I know I've been hogging your time.
Day.
We'll get going. It's a 4-hour show. We can't wait.
New OC. Right. Being back to, first of all, what you love to do.
Right.
And that's coach defense. And the familiarity. What will be the difference? What stamp will we see? Will it be that stingy thing you brought from Stanford? Or will it be that a kind of new age built around the type of players? Or they'll have to adjust to the system?
You know what? You always take your team and you try to mold it around your personality, but you really put in schemes that accentuate, their abilities and skill sets.
Right.
And that's what we did. We only ran 4 defenses this spring. We kept it real simple and allowed our guys to play real fast. And I think if you get a chance to watch our spring game or looked at it, I thought our guys played physical. They were fast.
Yeah.
And we actually wound up having 5 interceptions in that game, and that's something that we didn't do a year ago. If you want to be a good defense, you got to get the ball turned over. You got to tackle well. And you got to show up in situational defense, which is a red zone, okay, and get some takeaways. And I thought we did that. And so now Coach Ludwig has a chance to do what I did a year ago, learn exactly, what tools he has, and now and put those tools together and lead us into 2015. And we're extremely excited.
Can I talk again?
Go ahead. I needed to know something about him getting back to
Coach Mason. We wouldn't
call it defense.
This would not work on your staff.
Yes, it would.
You have a subordinate here.
There's so much
trying to take over.
Disorganized chaos between me and P-Town, man. But it works.
It does.
Oh, man.
Coach, you said something a minute ago. Everyone may not have heard it, but you can't walk away from the record. You said you owned it.
Right.
How do you use that? And it was tough to watch. I realize you were coaching it, but it did look better at the end than it did at the beginning.
Well, it's always a tough situation when and you find yourself, against the ropes. We needed to play well towards the end of the season versus Tennessee. And that's exactly what we did. We came out and we played better. We pressured the quarterback. We got after the quarterback. We played better defense. And we gave ourselves a chance, and we came up short. But it gave us some hope. It gave us an opportunity to see exactly what we can be. And that's where we are now. A much different team just in terms of how we see ourselves, how we work. Don't say a whole lot, but we work every day.
You obviously made changes. Would that be what you learned the most from the first season? Things aren't always what you think.
Yeah, first season is always about, being able to, see who you are. And we found out who we were. We weren't a very good team. We lacked some leadership. We didn't necessarily play well, and we turned the ball over. And in this conference, teams will make you pay. So, what we have to do is continue to show up the quarterback situation, because it's a quarterback's game. It's a quarterback league. And so our quarterbacks, we have 2 quarterbacks, Johnny McClary and Wade Freeback, who are both battling. They're both talented. And somebody's going to win that position. And, whoever wins that position is going to lead us to a good season. And now, how good? It all depends on what this team is able to build on. And right now, we feel like this summer gives us a chance to make some headway. And then first game versus Western Kentucky, we'll get a chance to test our mettle, because the season always tells you who you are.
Coach, what did you learn? And I'm not talking about wins and losses. I'm not talking about evaluating guys, because that's what the really good ones do. What did you learn being a head coach? What was that one thing that came into play that you may have not seen but had to deal with more often than you thought you wouldn't have to?
Really, it's just how you control, in the landscape of your team. I tell you what happens. When you're faced with adversity early, okay, confidence is one of those things, man, where man, you're riding the wave, and we didn't get a chance to ride the wave early. And so just trying to keep our guys in the midst of understanding that, you're on the cusp, and just, work hard and understand the details, and the details give you an opportunity, was something that really, tested me.
Yeah.
It tested my mettle early. Because you can lose, sight of your program and your message, and you start to grasp at straws. And really what happened was I had to really just put my foot down and say, hey, listen, this is who we are.
This is who we are, yeah.
Okay, understand the platform that we're on, or that we're involved with, and let's be better. Okay, and let's be about the work, not about the talk. And we found a way to battle back, and now, man, we're sitting on a new season. A new body of work, a new canvas, and so let's get ready to start painting.
You were in quicksand almost from the beginning, and,
Right.
and I know that has to be the most difficult position to be in. But certainly critics are out there, and they're saying, here comes a guy, first year, didn't go well. And I know you can't think beyond the first game, but you don't have an easy game. It's Western Kentucky. Do you have a plan in your mind if things go well, or things, because you could be in an awkward spot if that game goes the other way?
I don't see myself being in an awkward spot. I see myself, getting a good football team, ready to go play another good football team.
Okay.
And, with that being the case, the outcome will be determined between the white lines. So West Kentucky's got a good team, but, I believe, with the work we've invested, with and the type of young men that we've recruited, the future's bright. So let's make sure that those freshmen from a year ago are now sophomores, and that we start this journey the right way. So, we're going to play a great game versus Western Kentucky. A lot of work between now and then, so let's go.
99 days.
99
days.
Cold. Ooh. Every time around this time of the year, I get ready to strap it on. Then I remember my knees don't work.
There you go.
I told him a couple weeks ago, though. I still think. And you could
Coach,
go,
I give you a good. I give you 4 good ones now. I'm talking about out the gate.
I'll take you right now.
No, you don't want to go 4 downs in early September.
I go 4 downs.
I think 3rd down.
Any time of the year, day, time of the season, I'm gonna give you 4 plays and look like the best guy on the field.
In this defense,
this defense,
you know this defense.
Yeah, this one his.
Yeah, you know
the one
this
he
defense.
runs.
He knows his defense.
He's good. I don't know if you've ever seen him play, but he could play.
Oh, believe me, I watched him play. Coach
I've been trying to tell P-Town to start walking the walk.
Man.
I'll tell you one thing, Coach. That's what I'm trying to be kind here, but I was watching that first game. I'm thinking, I could quarterback it. I mean, I'm on the sidelines there. He's got a good sense of humor, doesn't he?
I love Coach, man. Yeah. You know what though? You see the difference is because, and I try to explain this because we talk football all the time, obviously, and you try to explain to people, and they say, well, we get so caught up in the numbers of the game, and we get real analytical as players and coaches, and we look at numbers.
Right.
And if we can improve those numbers, we improve our football team.
That's right.
All right. So controlling red zone percentages, turnover ratio, where are you starting your drives at on offense? Where's the defense giving you the ball back? It's little nuances, and it's always, I tell people, it's crazy. You look at a blowout game, 42-7.
Be careful.
5 or 6 plays. Every time, I can guarantee you.
Well, that was your season last year.
Yeah. So when you go into a year and people say, well, Vandy 3-9 last year, what to expect? It could be shocking.
Yeah.
It could be shocking.
Go
That's
ahead.
football.
Go ahead. Pick it right now. Swagger, go ahead and pick them to win the East. Shock the world. Yeah, shock the world.
I ain't doing that.
I picked them to beat Ole Miss last year in Nashville.
I'm not doing
Remember
that? I'm not doing that because I don't think they
we're
can.
We're going down. Tebow, Ole Miss. Swagoo, Ole Miss. I'm going. Vanderbilt's going to win. I believed in you.
You did.
Remember that?
You know what? And I'll give you props.
It was because the day before you convinced me. And by the way, I'm not mad.
No, you shouldn't be mad. I'll tell you what, landscape.
Other than my wife, who went to Vanderbilt, was really mad at me when I came home with a loss.
The landscape is competitive, and here's the deal: you have coaches, okay, and they all believe in their programs, they believe in their teams, and I'm no different. And so with that being the case, we're gonna always try to push the envelope.
I like that.
In terms of what we do, but man, we're not gonna back down from anybody. Not gonna apologize for being intelligent. We just need to play that way.
I like that.
I've had talks with P-Town.
In spite of what you told me before we came out here, I think the guy's going to turn it around.
Stop. Okay, Coach, we just had a conversation over on the step. Yeah. Honestly, when we first met,
yes,
all right, and we went to Vanderbilt, spent time with Coach.
I remember that.
The difference between a coach, in my experience, this is not for everybody. Mm-hmm. My experience with Coach Saban at LSU, Bill Parcells, Wade Phillips, and then Jason Garrett. Your team eventually is going to take on the identity of the head coach.
Right.
I don't care if you playing with 15-year veterans in the NFL.
Right.
Eventually, you're going to take on the identity of the head coach. And we left Vandy, and I told him,
right.
I said, I don't know what the year is going to be like.
You did.
But I said they will take on the identity eventually. Mm-hmm. Now, does that equate to win? I'm very slow to crown anybody because it's football. But usually when teams take on the identity of their head coach and it's the right way, they have success. That's just my experience in football.
Well, I can tell you what, we're pulling for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And you know what? It's coming. It's coming. It's a slow process, but here's what I do know. That football team a year ago at the end of the season wasn't the same football team that played at the beginning of the season. And so if that's any indication of how we're trending in the right direction. So let's go.
You heard it, Coach Derek Mason. It's going to happen. Anchor down.
Anchor down, baby. Let's go. Let's get it.
This is fun.
This is fun.
You look so smooth, bro.
I like that.
You should roll them tight, though.
Well, I mean, I don't.
You don't have any tattoos, though. So
I don't have the swag.
Look at the lavender. Now that's why.
I know.
That's why.
I'm rubbing off on all of them.
Hey, look at you.
You ought to see Joe Test today.
Eventually, I will get control back of this program.
Joe Test said he got a blazer on, some white jeans.
He looked like you.
White jeans?
Oxfords.
Okay.
Clean.
We international now.
He thought he was
okay, we're going to Dubai now?
Yeah.
He thought he was at Saratoga.
That's where he's on the white sand.
He didn't know he's never been to Destin before. Coach Derek Mason, we're done. We'll see you. I'm going back with Coach in Nashville. I'll see you when the season starts.
Oh, you got it.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
A new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
You're home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Live with the big swagoo, of course, and one of the new coaches in the SEC, Ben Howland of Mississippi State, the former Pitt and UCLA coach, 3 Final Fours in a row at UCLA. And, Coach, been great catching up with you, and I really appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Beautiful setting. What gets better than this?
And just like every single basketball coach I've ever been around, when Marcus, why didn't you recruit me?
I'm sorry, Coach.
I mean, did you know what a prospect?
Wasn't athletic enough. You know, he's a football player. What can I tell you?
Would you straighten him out?
Coach, he's the first one to take a shot.
Game.
You know? Oh my goodness!
What kind of handles? I don't know.
Coach, let's move past that.
Just give
I'm
him.
tired of talking about it, man.
Well,
we have to get some film
we'll
from
get
somewhere.
Who recruited
you need to. You need to. We want to see
who
that.
recruited you in basketball?
All of them.
Everybody.
All of them.
This guy was a prospect.
Coach.
Except him.
That's it. You were the only one, Coach. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
You know, UCLA had standards.
Couldn't let me.
I was actually at the University of Pittsburgh when he was coming out of high school, so we didn't recruit down here much. We were northeastern based.
Yeah.
I could see you in Pittsburgh.
No, not me.
We're the Steelers.
Too cold. That either.
He does not.
Cowboy and
You're the Steelers of love.
Yeah.
He does not appreciate you, Coach. Make sure he'll send you the film.
Okay, I'd like to see that.
I give it to you, Coach.
I coached against some really good players, starting with Dudley, that played way back in the day at Ohio State. When I was an assistant at UCSB, he was at Ohio State, very good player. Tony Gonzalez was an outstanding player, big-time player. The young man that played at Arizona State that was at Baltimore as a tight end, big blonde hair. I'm trying to remember his name right now. But obviously the tight end for the San Diego Chargers was the guy.
Antonio Gates.
He really ruined us. At Pittsburgh, we lost in the Sweet 16 to go to the Elite 8 because of him. He was at Kent State. He was so good. He's the best football player playing basketball. I mean, he was a borderline NBA guy. Gonzalez was too. Both those guys, in my mind, are the best two I've coached against. I mean, but
Coach, you
very, very good.
You obviously hadn't seen me play. Now I know for sure he didn't see me play.
Hey, Antonio Gates is a big-time basketball player.
Make
no mistake about it.
Well,
in deference to your new position and in deference to Marcus having his feelings hurt, we'll move on to the next subject.
I'm hurt.
But he was a good player.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted him, but no one can remember him.
Nah, Coach, can I go first? You allow that? Coach, coming to the SEC. All right. Now you know when people talk about the SEC, football comes to mind first. All right. I want to know, and I have this question for every basketball coach in the SEC. Do you use that as a template to get this basketball competition to that same level? Is that something you guys think about collectively or you individually?
Well, there's no question the SEC is first and foremost the best football conference in the country. Not even debatable.
Yeah.
It's a joke that anybody would even debate that. And I understand that, and I'm so excited to actually be in the SEC as a basketball coach. I sat on my couch the last 2 years out of coaching in Santa Barbara, California, watching college football, which I love, and I was always watching the SEC because it's almost the NFL. I mean, it's not, when you watch those games day in and day out, anybody can beat anybody. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then last year, to watch what Dan Mullen did with our program at Mississippi State, 5 straight #1 in the country weeks in a row was phenomenal. So I'm really excited about being there. I think that we have to feed off of that. Anywhere that you have good football, there's no reason why you can't have good basketball. And the same goes true with our league. Our league is going to get a lot better, though, I think, here real quick in terms of top to bottom.
See how he recruited such great players?
Just now, I would have went, especially to UCLA.
Well, I know you'd be a good screener.
Yeah.
Right? You dive on the floor for the ball. We need tough guys.
Coach, my game would fool you so much. I didn't want anything to do with that dirty work. I was a shooter, ball handler. I played between the 3 and the 4 sometimes. They used to call me Baby Barkley, Coach.
You're a legend in your own mind.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
He still doesn't believe it.
One day we gonna see each other.
He still doesn't believe it.
We gonna see each other one day.
Well, you got some big old hands.
You know what, man? You know what? You told me.
Do we need to lay him Duke, North Carolina, some of the teams that came out?
Nah, we don't need to do that, P-Town, because this ain't about me.
Obviously,
it's about Coach.
Obviously, Pitt.
It's about coaching basketball.
And we had a bunch of big guys that like him. I had a guy named Ontario Lett, who's 6'5", 260 in the post. We had Chevy Troutman, actually had a tryout for the NFL.
Yeah.
Really big, wide body. I like those kind of bodies.
Coach, you like those guys?
He didn't always
I
have
wasn't
this
this
body.
wide, though. I wasn't always this wide. But I was wide. I do this to P-Town all the time, Coach. We're going to get serious now. Let's get serious.
I will. I'm going to go into the library and get a little clip of you and put it on my phone next time we have a coach that has absolutely no idea who you are. As a basketball player.
Let's get Destin.
We will educate him.
But P-Town, ex-coach a question.
I'm trying
please.
to. I'm working on it.
I got you flustered.
I'm a little confused.
Coach, go ahead, man.
I want to know more about the 2 years at the beach, because I'm really liking this beach. Why would you give up the beach to come back into coaching?
I love coaching. In fact, the thing that I realized most being out of it is just realizing how blessed we are as coaches, how grateful I am to have done this for a living my whole life, to be around the game that I grew up with as a little kid, out in Santa Barbara, California, and been able to stay in it my whole life, to work with kids, to help kids grow, become really, reaching their potential. And not only that, to help young men reach their potential as people, to get an education. I had an opportunity to coach over 20 guys in the NBA during my career, but the vast majority of players have gone on into business careers, careers in education, careers in coaching. And so, I think we do a lot at the college level, helping educate kids, helping them learn important, aspects of life, leadership, how to work with others for a common goal. And this is what coaching's all about. And I love coaching. I'm so happy to be back, to be given this opportunity to be at Mississippi State.
And Coach, I know, being at USC and obviously, UCLA, and obviously.
Yeah, that's a big mistake, I know, right there. Okay,
my apologies.
It's like say being an Ole Miss.
UCLA fans. I know some of Coach Wooden's teaching.
He's young in the business.
Paid off, and you. What part of that did you implement as a coach? And what'll be different about you being at Mississippi State than guys before you?
Well, first of all, Coach Wooden, I was so fortunate to have a friendship with him. And he had an unbelievable family. I actually had his great-grandson on my team as a walk-on, Tyler Trapani. But he sat behind us every single home game, was so gracious, and no one is ever going to come close to what he did in college basketball.
Right.
To win, 10 out of 12 championships. It's just a whole different era. He had both Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Walton for 4 years in college basketball. Obviously, that never happens again. But, what he taught, I think there's so many great attributes. I really, really like his principles. You have his Pyramid of Success, which is a great, wonderful teaching tool for young people. But I also think he has a book that he put out, Thoughts and Observations by John Wooden. It's almost like a devotional you would read every night, as you go to bed. It's that good. And there's, he was very much a man of God. He was a man of such wisdom. He was such a good person. He never, ever said no to anybody, signed every autograph. He was so gracious. He lived very humbly in a 2-bedroom condominium in Encino, and anybody could get to see him. There's so many things to learn from him. It's hard to pick one specific thing, except, be true to yourself and always, know that, you are blessed to be where you are.
Where you are, yeah.
Coach, finally, you're off to a pretty good start in recruiting. Malik Newman, one of the premier players in the country, is coming on board. What does that mean to your program?
Well, having Malik Newman join our program is unbelievably fantastic for Mississippi State and the basketball in the state of Mississippi. Here's one of the top 10 players in the country who decided to stay home and play in his home state at the same school where his father, Horatio Webster, played, who was a great player at Mississippi State. So we're really fortunate and grateful. I think our fan base is so excited about it to have him in the fold. And then we just added another player last week, Eric Holman out of Kentucky, who I'm super excited about. 6'10", 7'2" across, very athletic. I think both these new freshmen are really going to help us. Obviously, Malik is a kid who's a one-and-done player. He's going to be an NBA point guard. I'm going to really help him learn the finer points of the game as a point, getting ready for the next level, having 5 players in the league myself right now that play that position. And so I feel really fortunate to have him staying home and coming to Starkville, and I know all the fans are really excited.
Coach, speaking of coming to Starkville, we will be there at some point during the fall, and I don't know what your schedule looks like, but we're bringing the cameras in to the hump, and we're going to see what he's all about.
Well, I'd like to see him get up now.
Let's save it.
John, give me a ball, John.
We had the baskets here earlier.
Yeah,
that's what's so disappointing.
Yeah, we'll table it.
We could have had you show all of us, all the fans out there,
we'll do
your
it.
skill.
We'll do it on your court,
okay,
on your time,
we'll do it.
And let's get Malik out there and see if he can stop this guy.
We don't want any of our players hurt now. Let's be first and foremost.
And my knees now don't allow me to.
Give me a break. Coach, thanks. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Way too much fun.
Great time. Now I'm going to have to go to Google you and see how good you really
Check
were.
it out, Coach.
You won't find anything, I promise you. Coach Ben Allen, nice to join us beachside.
comes the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
We're live in Destin at the beach, of course. And we're now joined by the about-to-be commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, Greg Sankey. Greg, we were watching a moment ago Mike's live, and I know this is one of the special times in your life, but I'm sure there's also a tugging at your heart knowing that Commissioner Slav is leaving.
There is. I'm fortunate he'll be nearby geographically. This afternoon we had an opportunity for each of the coaches groups who are here to visit with our administrators, our athletics directors, and our senior women administrators. And at the end, not requested by anyone, each of the coaches groups on their own had a moment to just say thanks and how much they appreciated how Mike has led, what he has done, how he's helped provide for them and their student athletes, young people in their programs. And each one of those was emotional and special in its own way. And what's a privilege for me is to see how well he's responded to his treatments and have him enjoy these few months right now.
Yeah, and you work with him every day and talk to him many times during the day, but it does seem like he's truly enjoying it. Last night at a reception, Steve Spurrier got up, Mark Rick, and they were both eloquent and poignant in their remarks, as I'm sure you've heard many times during the day, and it's hard. Again, I have a reasonable recall of history, but I don't remember anything quite like this.
No, I think that's true. We had a moment at an athletics directors meeting earlier in May where we had Roy Kramer in attendance. We had 9 or 10 of our alumni athletic directors, who's once an athletic director in this league, always in many ways, and our current athletic directors, and it was special. But Roy really captured the moment and toasted the greatest commissioner in the history of the Southeastern Conference. And there are a lot of awards and accolades that come, but to be recognized by literally your peer and predecessor in that way and a friend, I don't know what Mike would say, but I think that was really a special moment. It was great for me to have the privilege to see that and interact with both he and Roy simultaneously.
That is remarkable. We have commented. I'm sure this is the outside. We're not on the meetings that you are all day, every day here. It just doesn't seem like much is going on. I realize that you're probably go, oh really? It's the first time you've been outside in a week. But for those of us who look at headlines on Twitter, it seems like most of the conversations, at least from the football coaches, I realize there are a lot of coaches here, have been dealing with pretty similar issues: satellite cams, cost of attendance, things that you deal with every day.
Yeah, and it's interesting what kind of takes over the headlines. I rolled up Monday afternoon, and this is the first time I've been outside, so it's nice to see you outside. Much better setting than the prior interview with Commissioner Slav. We have talked about some of those pedestrian issues, if you will, satellite camps, recruiting tours, early National 11/10 signing day. But inherent in all of this is a discussion about the network. How do we improve as a league? What does the network mean? We forget we're only 10 months into this experience. It's not as if it's always been around. And I was asked a question today about why didn't we do this or that or the other. And I said, really, if you looked at the baseball tournament last week, you saw even more fulfillment of a vision around production that I thought was really, really at a high level. And we'll continue to see that play out. We've learned and we'll have some opportunities in the future. But those issues aren't going to dominate the headlines like satellite camps and recruiting tours do.
No, and obviously you've been part of the big issues in intercollegiate athletics, and as we come out of here, and what do you think are, or what do you see as the big or biggest issues facing this intercollegiate athletics?
Well, obviously the activity around litigation has had outcomes already. We're awaiting a decision in an appeal. There are other pieces of lawsuits that are out there that do take an incredible amount of time. I have an adjustment to make that's coming this summer, one of significance, so that's of great meaning to me. And when you look nationally, I thought Les Miles actually captured really well in a football coaches meeting that there's an expectation that the 5 conferences can work together to solve some of the bigger problems. And I told Les after he talked that he captured that incredibly well. And so I would say, yep, there's litigation. We all have our own issues. We're competitive. But there is an expectation that we can provide leadership in a meaningful way to tackle some of the student-athlete issues. Time demands are out there. How do we communicate being effective in teaching and educating and leading young people? Those issues are ones of primary importance, not simply satellite camps.
Just for the record, as you were talking, the SEC flag is flying behind you, so all is good.
We've raised the flag, the sun is shining, the sand is white, and we're here together. So that's a step towards the future, I guess.
You've talked a lot about it, and this is not about you, but it will be in some respects, because you'll be addressing the issues that Commissioner Slive has addressed with your assistants, obviously, but from a personal standpoint, is there time or just so many things happening that you really haven't been able to stop and think, I'm about to move into a different role, even though you've been with him at every step?
There are two things. So one is just my evaluation personally of what's next for me. And since the announcement on March 12th, my wife and I had one day I was traveling to speak, and I had carved out a day where we could be together. And a couple times over meals, we've just talked about her new reality, my new reality. Our children came home from college and actually had an intervention to discuss what we call the new normal. So to a certain extent, yes, and I've had the privilege of working alongside Mike and seeing the experience, but that provides an understanding but not a full appreciation for the new reality. And then I was driving home from our track and field championship last week, and it struck me that Mike and I have not had time to sit down. And for me to say, what should I be thinking about? We do that in the natural course of the day, but we've not just sat there and said for maybe a couple of hours, what are the issues, how do you see things, in a way that relates to transition. It relates to moving forward on a day-to-day basis, but he and I need to schedule that time and have agreed to very quickly, because obviously the summer's coming and there's some work to do in the future.
No doubt. You said in some conversation recently that you realized that the new normal has arrived. People, well, obviously right now are watching you, listening to you. You're not going to be able to slip in and out of coffee shops and in running outfits. I've seen you in there before, and that's not going to be happening as easily.
I spent 10 years being anonymous in my Starbucks in Mountain Brook, Alabama, and that's just my morning stop to reset my thinking, catch a moment before you go into the SEC world. And then Mike started visiting with me, so I became associated with him. It elevated me a little, but I don't think I've made it in and out without some conversation now. And we experienced it in Nashville. People were wonderful. My family was with me. My parents were there. We were in a restaurant Saturday night after 2 days of just the reality of what had occurred and being named the next Southeastern Conference Commissioner. I was asked to have my picture taken with people, and my children are putting their heads down, rolling their eyes, shaking their heads. And but it was fun. But it is real. You realize the visibility of the role, and there's a set of expectations, not only on the job performance, but just on me as a person. I think Mike and Roy were both marvelous examples to just take the time to have conversations and realize that we're all part of the Southeastern Conference, and the reason those conversations occur is because of the affection for the conference, and I'm privileged to be a part of leading that in the future.
Do you see moving forward any one thing that concern's not perhaps the best word, but it is a new role, and it's one thing, I don't know, not that I've ever been in charge of anything, but to be sitting next to the person in charge and now sitting at the head of the table.
You know, I went through a transition before to lead a conference, and I was 31 years old and became a conference commissioner the first time, and I went really, really hard. And I didn't have the right pace to life at that point. Didn't exercise, didn't eat right, didn't take a moment like I do around coffee to read and reflect and think. And after a year, I had an irregular heartbeat one day and had to get that corrected in the hospital when I was young. And that taught me, for myself, the need to have some moments where you're able to step aside. Like the day I referenced with my wife was intentional. My days, I exercise very early. I've gotten some notoriety for workouts around our local Iron Tribe gym. And that's actually an intentional part of trying to manage my days and myself. When you step into a role that is much bigger than I am personally, one of the great lessons early on is how to take that on. It was at a smaller level, but it's not something I've forgotten since.
And certainly some of your closer associates know this about you, but I would like to ask about, you're the commissioner, about to be commissioner of the most famous athletic conference. You participate in athletics yourself. You've been in how many marathons?
41 marathons. 41, and I don't know how many half marathons, but 41 fulls I've completed.
Talk about that, because that is not an easy. I act like I would know, but I wouldn't think it's very much fun sometimes.
You have more of a body type for running long distance than do I, but I learned the first one I ran was the morning after my wife and I were married back in 1988, and our marriage has survived that. And then when I came here, I just
was that to get away from the in-laws, or just?
I'll plead the fifth on that. But the rest were about a way to think and clear your mind and engage yourself through a day. When I lived in Dallas, played adult ice hockey. I've been a jack of all trades, master of none. What I found about the marathon is it's two things. It's a chemistry test in your body and a mental test of your will. And when I would run those, I would set out knowing really very intentionally what I was about to put myself through. And there was great emotion that would occur internally through the event, motivation. To finish, and then the high of actually achieving that goal is actually pretty incredible, because it represents all the work and the preparation that it took to come to that moment. And that's not dissimilar to how I've lived life, really. I had my children read books called Do Hard Things, was one of the titles, and my youngest daughter said, there was a couple times in my freshman year in college where that book had meaning. And I probably do hard things. You don't take on a challenge like this if you're not committed to doing something that's both challenging, rewarding, and still difficult all at the same time.
You'll probably be able to decipher where I'm going here. How long does it take to train for a marathon?
Well, if you do it well, probably at least 6 months. I'm a little bit older than when I did it well. You can join me. We can start.
I mean, if you do it, if you say I'll do it, then I just want to be there to chronicle you, because I don't see myself finishing it. But it would be remarkable to have the SEC Commissioner in a marathon.
I had a conversation with one of our athletics directors, who I won't out on national TV, who said, if you do it, I'll do it. And I said, well, I think I have another one in me. I've turned 50. I just had some knee surgery. I'm in actually pretty good shape. I'm just not in marathoning shape. We're in negotiations to see if that will happen, so I'll let you know.
I know a network that would be very interested in documenting this.
Yeah, it's fun. It really is a challenge. And I've run at altitude. I've run in the wilderness. I've run New York, and I've run Boston. And no matter where, you get in a moment where you just think and reflect and kind of separate from what's happening in your body. And there are a few times in life where you can be active and then have some focused thought and just work through things. And that sounds probably strange if you haven't experienced, but I assume there's runners out there who know exactly the experience which I'm describing.
Well done. The about to be commissioner. How much is there? Is there a specific?
I told folks, just call me almost
okay.
commissioner.
Almost commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. Greg Sankey joining us here beachside. Glad to get you out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast. Tune into the Paul Finebaum Show every day from 3 to 7 Eastern on the SEC Network or on the ESPN Radio app.